The DJ had been like a father figure to him, in place of the real father he'd never known. He'd looked out for him, taught him all he knew. Now he too was gone. Where would all the violence end?
Em called me like 9 o'clock at night. He was like, yo, I need you to come out here tomorrow. You know, he had just got finished completing the Eminem show. He's sitting there, you know, he had a private section and he was talking. He was like, yo, I'm telling you, this is going to be the next big thing. I know I can make this like this. And we sat down. We was only there for like 15 minutes. It was just real fast. They looked, they knew what I wanted. And it was like, okay, let's do it.
Get Rich or Die Trying opens with the self-explanatory What's Up Gangsta. It's 50 Cent setting the tone for the album, telling all his listeners exactly where he's coming from. From the first iconic roll of 2 quarters and the sound of a gun loading, he explodes in your face with widescreen cinematic drama, Dre's mix and money a million miles from Guess Who's Back half-baked soundscapes. Yet it's the same old 50, rhyming about the street with his distinctive high holler on the chorus. On Patiently Waiting, Eminem makes the official introductions between his protégé and the mainstream audience he's destined for. Take some B.I.G. and some Pac and you mix them up in a pot, he says, accurately summing up 50's appeal. Many Men, Wish Death is 50's own personal favourite on his album, featuring a partly sung chorus and verses that are half reportage on his violent life so far and half challenge to anyone who thinks they're hard enough to come and have a go. Yet in the midst of the braggadocio, he seems to mourn the fact that he can't cry anymore, that he no longer looks to the sky, that his heart's turned cold. In other words, he's had to shut his emotions down to survive, yet he knows how it's all eventually going to end. At night I talk to God, but he don't say nothing back. First single, In Da Club, comes next, produced and mixed by Dr. Dre with his trademark sinister stabbing strings. It swiftly followed Gangsta into the Billboard Top 10. High All the Time is the obligatory weed-smoking tune, based around a sample of Bobby Blue Bland's If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right. Heat is another Dre production, centred on a rhythm of guns cocking, machine gun fire, screeching tyres and explosions. If I Can't is a declaration of confidence, its chorus proudly claiming that if I can't do it, then it can't be done. Bloodhound, built around a burbling Casio groove and dog barks, is 50 Cent's bid to make a Southern-style record, of the type that he dissed so vociferously on Guess Who's Back. This track, featuring Tennessee-born G-Unit member Young Buck, shows that whatever Nelly can do, 50 Cent can do better. On Back Down, he threatens to make Pop-Tarts of his enemies and eat them for breakfast, over a sinister, loping horror movie rhythm. Pimp reworks a track that first emerged on his aborted Columbia LP, then again on one of his many mixtapes. This version features steel drums and an addictively catchy chorus. Like My Style features Tony Yayo, while Lil Rich finds 50 outlining his financial ambitions. The vocal stylings of Nate Dogg are featured on 21 Questions, back in a funky Dre mix setting. Over a Barry White sample, 50 asks his girl if she'd still love him if he was down and out, if she trusts him fully, if she'll stand by him no matter what. I love you like a fat kid loves cake, he promises, the smooth devil. Lloyd Banks and Eminem both appear on Don't Push Me, which has the latter's familiar orchestral sound. It's not even a record, it's more like a warning, 50 says of this track. The album ends with another of its creator's personal favourites, Gotta Make It to Heaven. Reportedly, he had to fight with Dre and Eminem for its inclusion on the record, and it extends his naked ambition to metaphysical levels. I've got to make it to heaven because I'm going through hell, he asserts, over a maelstrom of 80s electro bleeps, bongos, synths and hand claps. The album as a whole has a sound that is neither East Coast nor West Coast, neither hardcore nor bling. It borrows from all colours of the contemporary rap spectrum, yet ultimately stands alone. Dre contributes some of his best work in years, and while Eminem's influence is apparent, it never overwhelms 50's own personality. The record was a deservedly huge success, selling 1.5 million copies in its first fortnight of release, making it the biggest-selling debut album of all time. It had taken a while, but 50 Cent had finally arrived.
Ja got robbed and he felt like, he seen me say what's up to the kid. He knew the kid too. And I look at him like, oh man, come on. Like he run around, this guy's like a thrill seeker. He wants to run around and say, we're all my murderers.
Ever since 50 Cent took his name from a real-life gangland villain in Brooklyn's Fort Greene project, he's been an antagonistic presence in the hip-hop world. It's probably easier to list those few rappers he doesn't have beef with than those that he does. And those select few are probably spared only because he hasn't got around to them yet. As if he didn't have enough enemies from his days as a crack dealer, 50 Cent wasted no time in laying into those he dubbed studio gangsters, who created a fake image to sell records that didn't match their own lifestyle. As someone who really came from the kind of harsh street background that most rappers only fantasize about, he felt he had a genuine score to settle with the tourists and wannabes of the music industry. 50 Cent's most famous beef is with rapper Ja Rule and his Murder Inc. boss Irv Gotti. He claims that he and Ja grew up 5 minutes away from each other in Queens, and that Ja got robbed by someone in their neighbourhood that he knew. When Ja saw 50 talking to the guy in a club, he assumed that 50 was involved. 50 claims not to have started the feud, but was the first to go public with it, dissing Ja Rule and Irv Gotti on Gangsta. Ja Rule's corny to me, 50 has said. His music is a reflection of who he is, the same way mine is a reflection of who I am. He's a pop kid, he grew up like that, but for him to call himself a murderer is crazy. Nevertheless, the feud got physical at least once when both artists found they were staying in the same hotel in Atlanta. When 50 saw Ja, he pulled him aside to talk. Ja, according to 50, was trying to look tough, armed with a toy baseball bat. After a couple of minutes, 50 punched him in the eye. Ja, however, claims that 50 is scared of him since a fight the two of them had in 1999, which may or may not have resulted in a stabbing. There's been more serious trouble as well. 50 Cent's management company, Violator, has been sprayed with bullets, and 50 himself has round-the-clock security, travelling in bulletproof vehicles and wearing a bulletproof vest. Some say that Murder Inc., with their alleged gangland connections, are behind the attacks, but 50 blames past associates from his days dealing drugs. He's also engaged in a war of words with the Wu-Tang Clan and their extended family, particularly Ghostface Killah. Ashanti, Lil' Kim and Sticky Fingers have also been on the receiving end of his verbal scorn. But maybe 50 is simply canny enough to know that all of this trouble keeps his name in the papers. After all, it was a diss record and Jay-Z's response that got his career started. Let's hope it's not another beef that ends it.
I got some film offers now. You know, they start already. But you know what? I'm not in a hurry to do films. I'm gonna wait until I can do films as good as I write music or rap.
With Get Rich or Die Trying, 50 Cent established himself as a bona fide phenomenon. After its release date was brought forward due to fears of internet piracy, the album went on to sell more copies in its first 4 days on the market than the rest of the top 10 combined. In Britain too, 50 Cent had the biggest impact on the UK charts of any black American rapper, selling 24,000 copies in 3 days. He also garnered an unprecedented amount of coverage and column inches, partly due to a new surge of concern over the pernicious influence of gangster rap. Yet all this was before 50 Cent had even set foot in the country. In February 2003, 50 Cent played the biggest live date of his career so far, co-headlining New York's Nassau Coliseum with DMX to a 15,000-strong capacity crowd. 50's show was so rapturously received that when he left the stage, the management turned on the house lights. DMX didn't even try to follow him. He's finally making money and taking care of his son Marquise, who appears in the Gangsta video. But there's a heavy price to pay for his success. Marquise has a bulletproof vest, just like Daddy's. On New Year's Eve, 50 and a group of his friends were arrested for illegal firearms possession outside Manhattan's Copacabana nightclub. While 50 was released on bail, G-Unit's Tony Yayo remained behind bars. As a result, Eminem wore a Free Yayo t-shirt when he performed on stage at the Grammy Awards, gaining the case worldwide exposure. For the most part, though, 50 Cent is happy doing what he does best: working hard, making money, enjoying his life and planning his next move. He's confident that the attempts on his life won't succeed, that his security is too tight to let that happen. He's adamant that rapping is more of a buzz than drugs, more profitable than crime, and that he's an example to all the kids who grew up like him, that there is a better way. Without trying, I'm a role model for every kid in the ghetto, he says. If they feeling like it just ain't gonna work, I'm gonna stop. They know to continue because I've shown it can work. 50 Cent is for real, and he's never going to back down.
Thank you for buying Maximum 50 Cent. We hope you enjoyed it. Watch out for further titles on Chrome Dreams coming up soon. If you did enjoy it or have any comments or suggestions, write to us at Chrome Dreams, PO Box 230, New Malden, Surrey, UK, KT3 6YY, or email us on mail@chromedreams.co.uk. Details of our full catalogue are listed on our website at www.chromedreams.co.uk. Thanks again for listening, and goodbye for now.